Hello, thanks for joining me. Well, we're going to take a detour on this, restoring this lathe right here, and we're going to build the stand for the lathe. The reason I'm doing that is I want to hook up the drive and everything, so when we get the cross slide done, it'll be up and running, and we'll be able to give it a try. Anyway, let me show you what we got so far on the stand. Okay, here's the stand we're going to build. The total dimensions are 20 by 48 and about 32 inches tall, I think. Have the motor over here, and this will be a set of drawers, hopefully. Anyway, I got all the metal cut, and I've cleaned up the ends on it. And there's all the metal right there. But the first thing we're going to do is weld these plates right here. These are going to be caps for the bottom of the 3x3 posts. And I'm going to weld that right there, drill through and tap it, and then that'll be the cap for the bottom of the post for the casters to mount to. Okay, we've got these pieces welded together here. I still need to drill and tap them. Right off, I don't know the diameter and thread size of the metric bolts that go in there, so I'm going to do that later. But for now, we're going to start out plugging these holes. These are surplus 3-inch square tubing. It's a 1/4-inch wall. I wish I had some 1/8-inch wall, but I used it up. But anyway, we're going to weld these 1/2-inch rods in here to plug the holes. Perfect. I machined or milled all the ends, and I did some grinding on it, which I was a little worried about, but it didn't take much off because that's perfectly square. Hopefully it'll stay that way. I've had pretty good luck doing it like this. Now I'll tack it on this side, flip it over, tack it on the other side before I weld it. Okay, I welded up these end pieces, and now I'm in the process of welding these the longer sections. And I've got these clamps mounted at an angle, and the reason I did that is I was a little bit out of square. And to check the square, I measured from corner to corner, like that. And I was a little bigger here. By skewing the clamp like that, it brought it back into square. Think over. Of course, it's going to move a little bit when I weld it, and I'll check it throughout the welding process. But at least starting out square is important. Okay, now that I got the bottom pieces welded or tacked into place, I'm going to remove these spacers and use them right here. 54 3/4. Fifty-four and 3/4, darn close. Okay, next step is to notch this tube so that it's the same level as this and weld it right in place right there. It's going to separate the drawer half from the drive half. The motor will go on this side. Well, that doesn't need much. Got some wood sticks here to position this. Well, there's most of the welding all done. The only thing we lack is the feet or the caster mounts. Originally, I welded that extra piece of steel on there because I was going to drill through it and thread it for metric M12, but I decided to drill a clearance hole in it and weld a bolt in it. Of course, this piece is not really needed anymore, but I'm going this route because I can find the bolts locally and I cannot find the M12 tap, and I don't have one. Okay, I don't know what this black oxide will do with TIG welding. I suspect it'll be okay. We'll see. No problem. Well, I really appreciate this Yes welder. It's been a really good welder. I'm probably not the best welder, but for the amount of welding I've done really well with it. Some people have asked me, why do I use TIG welding? Well, first of all, it's what I got. But second, I think it's very forgiving. It's kind of like gas welding. You can just kind of, if you got a hole like that, you can just go back and fill it in. The MIG welder, you just have to keep going. I'm not saying you can't go back and fix stuff, but you have to maintain a certain speed. With TIG, you can kind of slow down and stop feeding rod, and I just think it's very forgiving. Not bad looking welds if you ask me. I've got some acetone on this rag. Here's what I'm using to sand this thing down with. Orbital sander, or random orbit sander, hooked to my mouse vacuum cleaner. That's what my wife calls it. It's about a 1940 compact or 1950 compact. Good, reliable vacuum cleaner. Okay, I'm spraying it with filler sandable primer over the etching primer. The etching primer has only been on there maybe 15 minutes. And the only reason I'm using this is because I've got a bunch of chipped paint, because this is recycled metal, and I'm hoping I can sand it and smooth out some of those chips. I think it should work. I'm going to put the final color on the bottom. I'm going to paint straight down so that I'm only hitting the bottom, hopefully. And then I'm going to turn it over and do the remainder of the painting on the other side. I still haven't primed this side and the top of it. But I just want to get a coat of paint on the bottom of it. this stuff paint can. Damn. Oh, shit. I like it. These casters are the lighter weight version of what I put on my milling machine. These are rated at 2,200 pounds for 4 casters, which is way more than enough. They're 32 bucks, which is an outstanding value. They come with M12 set screws, socket head set screws for an option for mounting, and that's the way I was going to mount these, but I didn't have an M12 tap, so I went ahead and used some M12 bolts welded to the inside. But I'm very, very pleased with this. This is outstanding. Well, that about wraps it up for today. I'm very pleased with the way it's coming out. Actually 2 weeks from now, we're gonna get some things going next week. I won't be putting out a video next week, but in 2 weeks we'll be putting a top on this and putting the drive on it, maybe getting the lathe mounted, and then we'll be putting a door on this side and a set of drawers on this side, and we'll be putting the top will be fumed white oak, which is a really nice brown color. And I think that'll go really nicely with the cream color, and it's actually ivory, and the blue on the lathe. I'm going to, I had a lot of trouble with the paint on this. I'm using Rust-Oleum paint. I used this 2X Rust-Oleum ultra coverage on the lathe itself. Outstanding. This here is high performance enamel, quick drying 15-minute Rust-Oleum. I couldn't get it to work. I returned 2 cans to Lowe's and got my money back. Both cans totally failed. I went back, I wanted this color. I found there's slower drying version in the same color, or close to the same color, both almond. This is a gloss protective enamel, standard Rust-Oleum paint. It takes about 12 hours to dry to the touch, and about 24 hours to dry completely. I've used it before, it's good stuff, but I did have some trouble with it. It was about halfway through, the can clogged up. I was getting pretty frustrated with it, to be honest with you, but I don't want to throw them under the bus. I think it's probably where it sat on the shelf and wasn't shaken adequately. The solid settled out, but I did shake the heck out of it. I shook it for probably 4 minutes. But that's a topic for another video. I will be doing a video on that. I'm going to try some kind of machine shaking apparatus on this, and we're going to do a test and see if it makes a difference. Anyway, be sure and subscribe and ring that bell. Join me in 2 weeks. Next week there will be no video, but I got to take a break every now and then. Thanks for joining me.